Ethan tugged at his collar, his anxiety almost tangible as he sat across from Rachel in the cozy nook of the charming little cafe. The gentle hum of conversations and the rhythmic clinking of glasses created a warm, intimate atmosphere around them. Rachel, his cherished girlfriend, savored her cappuccino, her eyes sparkling with curiosity and eager anticipation. "Rachel," Ethan started, his voice a cocktail of calm and bubbling enthusiasm, "I want you to meet my father. He's incredibly excited to meet you." Rachel's eyes widened with a mix of astonishment and pure joy. "Really? That's wonderful." When and where, she asked, her face lighting up with a radiant smile that banished Ethan's anxieties. The way her eyes gleamed with happiness made his heart swell with a mixture of relief and excitement. This moment, enveloped in warmth and the shared love between them, felt like a significant step forward in their relationship. Ethan could feel the weight of his nervousness lift, replaced by a hopeful anticipation for the beautiful connection he knew Rachel and his father would form. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. Ethan's heart brimmed with a flood of relief and joy at her enthusiastic response. "I've arranged for us to dine with him at La Belle Époque, the enchanting French restaurant downtown, tomorrow evening," he shared, his voice laced with a hopeful anticipation that mirrored the depth of his emotions. "La Belle Époque," Rachel repeated, her tone infused with wonder. "Isn't that the most exquisite restaurant in the city?" Ethan nodded affirmatively. "Yes, it is." Rachel's entire face lit up with excitement. "Absolutely, I'd love to. I can't wait to meet him." As Ethan stepped away to take a call, Rachel quickly dialed her best friend Hannah. "Hannah, you won't believe it. Ethan is taking me to La Belle Époque to meet his father," she exclaimed, her voice brimming with exhilaration. Ethan's announcement felt like a dream come true for Rachel. The idea of meeting his father in such a grand setting made her heart race with anticipation and delight. The thought of their evening at the elegant restaurant filled her with a sense of joyous expectation, and she couldn't help but envision the beautiful evening ahead, where she would make a wonderful impression on Ethan's father. "Wow, that's incredible," Hannah exclaimed, her voice bubbling with genuine excitement. "You must be thrilled." "I am," Rachel replied, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "This means his family must be loaded. I always knew Ethan had potential, but this just confirms it. Imagine marrying into such wealth." Hannah giggled. "You're so lucky, Rachel. Make sure to impress him." "Oh, I will," Rachel said confidently. "I've always dreamed of marrying rich. Who wouldn't? The idea of struggling to make ends meet with someone poor just isn't for me." Hannah agreed wholeheartedly. "Definitely. You deserve the best." Rachel ended the call, her mind whirling with visions of the glamorous life she hoped to secure. She imagined herself attending lavish parties, donning designer gowns, and living in a sprawling mansion. The prospect of marrying into wealth was exhilarating, filling her with a sense of excited anticipation. On the day of the dinner, Hannah insisted on tagging along. "I want to witness this luxurious lifestyle you're about to step into," she said with a smirk. Rachel, eager to show off, agreed. When they arrived at La Belle Époque, Ethan was taken aback to see Hannah. "I didn't realize you were bringing company," he said, masking his surprise with a polite smile. "Hannah insisted," Rachel replied casually. "I hope it's okay." Ethan's initial surprise gave way to a welcoming demeanor, though he couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Rachel, however, was too caught up in the excitement of the evening to notice. She reveled in the elegant ambience of the restaurant, the soft glow of the chandeliers, and the sophisticated murmur of well-dressed patrons around them. She felt like she was on the cusp of stepping into the life she had always dreamed of. As they settled into their seats, Rachel's mind raced with thoughts of impressing Ethan's father and securing her place in a world of luxury. She envisioned herself becoming a part of his affluent family, attending glamorous events, and living a life of comfort and opulence. The night was filled with possibility, and Rachel was determined to seize every moment. Ethan nodded, though a sense of unease lingered. Of course, the more the merrier. He handed Rachel a large bouquet of red roses. "These are for you," he said warmly. Rachel beamed, her earlier doubts momentarily forgotten. "Thank you, Ethan." They're beautiful. As they stepped into the restaurant, its opulence took Rachel's breath away. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, and the tables were adorned with elegant centerpieces. The aroma of gourmet cuisine wafted through the air, enchanting their senses. "This place is amazing," Hannah whispered to Rachel, who nodded, feeling a swell of pride and excitement. They were shown to their table, and as they settled in, Rachel's curiosity grew impossible to contain. "Ethan, when will your father be joining us?" she asked, her eyes scanning the room. Ethan glanced around and then back at Rachel. "He's already here." Rachel looked puzzled. "Where?" Ethan pointed to a corner of the room where a man in a janitor's uniform was sweeping the floor. "There he is." Rachel's eyes widened in shock, and she felt her heart plummet. "That can't be your father," she stammered, struggling to keep her composure. Ethan nodded solemnly. "Yes, it is. My father owns this restaurant, but he believes in staying grounded and working alongside his employees. He finds joy in every part of this place, even the less glamorous tasks." Rachel's mind raced as she processed this revelation. The image she had built of a life of wealth and opulence seemed to blur. She glanced at Hannah, who was equally stunned but trying to mask her surprise. "Wow," Rachel finally managed to say, her voice tinged with disbelief. "That's unexpected." Ethan smiled gently. "I wanted you to meet him not because of his wealth, but because of the values he holds dear. He taught me that true richness comes from humility, hard work, and integrity." Rachel felt a wave of conflicting emotions wash over her. She had been so focused on the allure of wealth that she had overlooked the importance of character and values. As she looked at Ethan, she realized how deeply she cared for him, beyond the superficial dream she had entertained. "Thank you for sharing this with me," she said softly, reaching out to take Ethan's hand. "It means a lot." Ethan squeezed her hand reassuringly. "I'm glad you understand. Let's enjoy this evening together and make it memorable." As they settled back into their seats, the ambience of La Belle Époque felt different to Rachel. The opulence was still there, but now it was accompanied by a newfound appreciation for the deeper qualities that truly mattered. The night unfolded with laughter, heartfelt conversations, and a deeper connection that Rachel hadn't anticipated, making it an evening she would never forget. Rachel's face fell. "You must be joking," she said, her voice tinged with disbelief. "No, Rachel. That's my father," Ethan said calmly. Hannah stifled a laugh. "This is some kind of prank, right?" Rachel's expression turned to one of anger and confusion. "Why didn't you tell me your father is a janitor?" Ethan's gaze hardened. "Does it matter? He's a good man, and that's what's important." Rachel's frustration boiled over. "Of course it matters. How could you embarrass me like this?" Ethan sighed, his patience wearing thin. "Rachel, I didn't bring you here to embarrass you. I wanted you to see the person who taught me everything about integrity and hard work. My father may be a janitor, but he owns this restaurant and believes in working every job to stay humble and connected." Rachel's face flushed with a mix of anger and humiliation. "But you let me believe he was some wealthy businessman. This is humiliating." Ethan's expression softened slightly, but there was a firm resolve in his eyes. "I'm sorry if you feel that way, but I thought you cared about me for who I am, not for the wealth you assumed my family had." "Hannah, trying to diffuse the tension, chimed in, "Rachel, maybe this is a good thing. It's a chance to see the values that really matter." Rachel shot her a glare but said nothing, her mind reeling from the unexpected turn of events. She had envisioned an evening of grandeur and now felt her dreams slipping away. Ethan continued, his voice steady but laced with disappointment. "If you can't accept my father for who he is, then maybe you're not the person I thought you were." Rachel looked at Ethan, her anger giving way to a pang of guilt. She realized that her fixation on wealth had clouded her judgment and threatened the relationship she genuinely cared about. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. I didn't expect this." Ethan nodded, his expression softening. "I understand. Let's try to enjoy the evening. My father is an amazing person, and I think you'll see that if you give him a chance." As they settled back at the table, Rachel's emotions were a whirlwind of confusion and introspection. The opulent surroundings of a La Belle Epoque now felt like a stark contrast to the humility Ethan's father embodied. She knew she had a lot to think about, not just about Ethan's family, but about her own values and what truly mattered to her. The evening, which had started with such high expectations, became a turning point for Rachel. She realized that the life she had dreamt of was not just about wealth and luxury, but about the character and values of the people she chose to surround herself with. And as she watched Ethan's father work with quiet dignity, she began to understand the depth of the lesson Ethan had wanted to share. "Embarrass you? This isn't about you, Rachel. It's about meeting my father," Ethan said firmly. Rachel stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "I can't believe you would do this to me. I thought you came from money." "I never lied to you," Ethan said quietly. "You assumed." Hannah, trying to diffuse the situation, chimed in. "Rachel, maybe you should sit down and give this a chance." Rachel shot her a glare. "No, Hannah, I won't sit here and be humiliated." Ethan stood up, his voice firm. "My father works hard and deserves respect. If you can't see past his job, then maybe you're not who I thought you were." Rachel's face flushed with anger. "I don't need this. I deserve better." As she turned to leave, George, who had overheard the argument, approached the table. He extended his hand to greet Rachel, a kind smile on his face. "Good evening, Rachel. I'm George, Ethan's father." Rachel recoiled, glaring at the hand offered to her. "How dare you touch me, you filthy janitor," she spat, her voice dripping with contempt. George's smile faltered, but he remained calm. "I'm sorry if I've upset you." Rachel's anger flared. "Upset? You and your son are nothing but deceitful, lowly scum. Ethan lied to me, pretending to be someone he's not just to get close to me. Pathetic." Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady but strained. "Rachel, that's not true. I never pretended to be anything I'm not." George raised a hand to stop Ethan. "Let her speak." Rachel's tirade continued, her voice rising in anger and disdain. "You deceived me into thinking you were someone important, someone with wealth and status. Instead, I find out your father is a janitor. How could you?" Ethan took a deep breath, his patience hanging by a thread. "Rachel, I wanted you to meet my father because he's important to me. His values, his work ethic, and his kindness are what make him truly valuable. Money and status don't define a person's worth." George nodded in agreement, his expression sad but understanding. "Ethan is right, Rachel. It's not about the job we do, but how we do it and the values we hold." Rachel's face contorted with fury. "I can't believe I wasted my time with you." She turned on her heel and stormed out of the restaurant, leaving a tense silence in her wake. Ethan watched her go, a mixture of sadness and relief washing over him. He turned to his father, who placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You did the right thing, son." Hannah, who had been silently observing the whole scene, finally spoke up. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I had no idea she would react like that." Ethan sighed, his resolve strengthening. "It's better I found out now rather than later. Thank you for being here, Hannah." As they sat back down, the atmosphere gradually shifted. The initial shock and tension began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of clarity and newfound understanding. Ethan looked at his father with admiration and respect, grateful for the lesson in integrity and authenticity. George smiled warmly at his son. "I'm proud of you, Ethan. Always stay true to yourself and your values." Ethan nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The evening, though unexpected and challenging, had revealed the true nature of the people around him and solidified the principles he held dear. As they continued their dinner, the bond between Ethan and his father grew stronger, and Hannah's presence added a layer of support and friendship that made the night memorable in an entirely different, but profoundly meaningful way. Hannah, sensing an opportunity to add fuel to the fire, chimed in. "Rachel, maybe you should hear Ethan out. There might be more to this than you think." Rachel shot Hannah a withering look. "Oh, shut up, Hannah. You're just as bad." Always defending these low lives, she turned back to Ethan, her eyes blazing. "You think giving me some cheap flowers and a fancy dinner would hide the fact that you're nothing but a poor, pathetic loser? Look at your father, a janitor, and you had the nerve to let me think you were rich." In a fit of rage, Rachel grabbed the bouquet of roses Ethan had given her earlier and threw them to the ground. She stomped on them, crushing the delicate petals under her heel. "This is what I think of your stupid flowers," she sneered. Ethan's face paled with hurt and disbelief. "Rachel, why are you doing this? What changed? Is it just because my father works as a janitor?" Rachel laughed bitterly. "Of course. You think the son of a janitor has any right to be with someone like me? You should know your place." She stepped closer to Ethan, her voice lowering to a dangerous whisper. "From now on, you will address me as Miss. I don't want anyone to think we're on the same level." George, trying to mediate, spoke gently. "Rachel, please, let's not escalate this. We're all just people trying to live our lives." Rachel turned her icy glare toward George. "You think you're some kind of hero, don't you? A janitor teaching his son to deceive women about their background. Pathetic." Ethan, his voice trembling with emotion, stepped in front of his father. "That's enough, Rachel. You've made your point. If my father's job is such a problem for you, then maybe we don't belong together." Rachel's expression twisted with disdain. "You're right about that. I have no interest in wasting my time with someone who can't provide the life I deserve." As Rachel stormed out of the restaurant, the remaining diners watched in stunned silence. Hannah, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize she would react like that." Ethan sighed, the weight of the evening pressing down on him. "It's better to know now than later. Thank you for being here, Hannah. And thank you, Dad, for always being honest and true." George placed a comforting hand on Ethan's shoulder. "I'm proud of you, son. It takes courage to stand up for what's right, even when it's difficult." Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of sadness and relief. The evening had taken an unexpected turn, but it had also revealed the true nature of Rachel's character. As they sat back down, the ambience of La Belle Époque felt different. The chandeliers still sparkled, and the aroma of gourmet cuisine still filled the air, but there was a newfound sense of clarity and purpose. The night continued with heartfelt conversations and a deepening bond between Ethan, his father, and Hannah. They shared stories, laughter, and a renewed appreciation for the values that truly mattered. In the end, the evening, though challenging, became a testament to the strength of their relationships and the importance of staying true to oneself. Rachel whirled on him, her face twisted with disdain. "Shut up. You have no right to speak to me. You're nothing but a dirty janitor. Stay out of this." Ethan's eyes hardened, his voice steady. "That's enough, Rachel. You've made your point." Rachel smirked, her tone dripping with condescension. "Good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have better things to do than waste my time with you and your pathetic family." She turned on her heel and stormed out of the restaurant, leaving behind a stunned silence. Ethan stood in shocked silence, trying to process what had just happened. His father, George, gently nudged him. "Son, you need to go after her. Explain that you love her." Taking a deep breath, Ethan nodded and rushed out of the restaurant, his heart pounding. He spotted Rachel and Hannah a short distance away, their voices carrying on the evening breeze. "I can't believe I wasted so much time with Ethan," Rachel was saying. "At least I found out he's a pauper before it was too late." Hannah laughed. "You're right. We need to find someone who's actually rich. Maybe that new club downtown." "Definitely," Rachel agreed. "It's full of wealthy men. No more time wasters like Ethan." Ethan's stomach churned as he heard their words. Steeling himself, he quickened his pace and reached out, grabbing Rachel's arm. "Rachel, wait." Rachel yanked her arm away, glaring at him with contempt. "Don't touch me with your filthy hands. Do you even know how much this dress costs?" Ethan's expression was one of hurt and confusion. "Rachel, I love you. We've been together for so long. Why are you ending this over something like my father's job?" Rachel's sneer was laced with derision. "Love? Sure, I loved you partly, but mostly I loved the idea of your money. Without that, what do you have to offer?" Ethan felt the sting of her words, but he stood his ground, his voice unwavering. "If that's how you see it, then we really are better off apart. True love isn't about money, it's about who we are as people." As Rachel and Hannah walked away into the night, Ethan watched them go, feeling a strange mix of relief and sorrow. The emotional weight of the encounter lingered, but he knew deep down that he had made the right decision. Turning back to the warm, inviting atmosphere of the restaurant, he took a deep breath and stepped inside. The elegant chandeliers cast a soft, soothing glow. The scent of gourmet cuisine filled the air, and the comforting ambience wrapped around him like a protective embrace. Ethan rejoined his father at their table, feeling the earlier tension begin to dissolve. George greeted him with a warm, understanding smile and pulled him into a reassuring hug. "It's a tough lesson," Ethan George said, his voice filled with empathy and pride, "but one that will make you stronger. True love is about who you are, not what you possess." They sat down, and the evening took on a new, more profound meaning. The earlier disappointment and hurt started to fade as they shared stories, laughter, and dreams for the future. Each bite of the exquisite meal seemed to symbolize a step toward healing and self-discovery. The conversation flowed easily, filled with warmth and genuine connection, reaffirming the values they both held dear. As the night progressed, Ethan felt a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. The painful revelation had been a harsh but necessary reminder of what truly mattered in life. He knew that the right person would come along, someone who appreciated his values and loved him for who he truly was. Until then, he would hold his head high, confident in the choices he had made and grateful for the unwavering support of his father. Walking out of La Belle Époque, Ethan's spirit felt lighter, lifted by the true wealth of love, respect, and the unbreakable bonds of family. The evening had transformed from a moment of heartbreak into a profound affirmation of the strength and importance of genuine, unconditional love. Rachel turned, her eyes narrowing. "What do you want, Ethan? Haven't you humiliated me enough for one night?" Ethan's voice trembled, but he held his ground. "I wanted to tell you that I never meant to deceive you. I care about you, and I thought you felt the same way. But if my family's background is more important to you than who I am, then maybe we were never meant to be." Rachel yanked her arm away, her face a mask of contempt. "You're right. We were never meant to be. I deserve someone who can offer me the life I want, not a life of mediocrity." Ethan felt a surge of sadness and clarity. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Rachel. But know that true happiness isn't found in wealth or status. It's found in love, respect, and integrity, things money can't buy." Rachel scoffed, her voice dripping with disdain. "Spare me the lecture." "I'm done here," she turned to Hannah, her expression hardening. "Let's go." Hannah hesitated, casting a glance at Ethan that was filled with a mix of pity and regret before following Rachel out. As they walked away, Ethan felt a surprising weight lift off his shoulders. The sense of liberation mingled with the evening's emotional turmoil, but he felt lighter nonetheless. He turned back toward the restaurant, his steps gaining confidence with each stride. Upon re-entering La Belle Époque, he was greeted with understanding smiles from the staff and his father. George enveloped him in a warm embrace, his voice brimming with pride and reassurance. "You did the right thing, Ethan. Staying true to yourself is what matters most." Ethan nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose and self-worth. The evening had been a painful revelation, yet it had also reaffirmed the core values he and his family held dear. He realized that the right person would value those principles and love him for who he genuinely was. Rachel yanked her arm away, glaring at him with contempt. "Don't touch me with your filthy hands. Do you even know how much this dress costs?" Ethan's expression was one of hurt and confusion. "Rachel, I love you. We've been together for so long. Why are you ending this over something like my father's job?" Rachel's scoff was laced with biting sarcasm. "Love? Sure, I loved you partly, but mostly I loved the idea of your money. Without that, what do you have to offer?" Ethan felt the sharp sting of her words, but he stood his ground, his voice unwavering. "If that's how you see it, then we really are better off apart. True love isn't about money, it's about who we are as people." As Rachel and Hannah walked away into the night, Ethan watched them go, feeling a strange mix of relief and sorrow. The emotional weight of the encounter lingered, but he knew deep down that he had made the right decision. Turning back to the warm, inviting atmosphere of the restaurant, he took a deep breath and stepped inside. The elegant chandeliers cast a soft, soothing glow, the scent of gourmet cuisine filled the air, and the comforting ambience wrapped around him like a protective embrace. Ethan rejoined his father at their table, feeling the earlier tension begin to dissolve. George greeted him with a warm, understanding smile and pulled him into a reassuring hug. "It's a tough lesson," George said, his voice filled with empathy and pride, "but one that will make you stronger. True love is about who you are, not what you possess." They sat down, and the evening took on a new, more profound meaning. The earlier disappointment and hurt started to fade as they shared stories, laughter, and dreams for the future. Each bite of the exquisite meal seemed to symbolize a step toward healing and self-discovery. The conversation flowed easily, filled with warmth and genuine connection, reaffirming the values they both held dear. As the night progressed, Ethan felt a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. The painful revelation had been a harsh but necessary reminder of what truly mattered in life. He knew that the right person would come along, someone who appreciated his values and loved him for who he truly was. Until then, he would hold his head high, confident in the choices he had made and grateful for the unwavering support of his father. Walking out of La Belle Époque, Ethan's spirit felt lighter, lifted by the true wealth of love, respect, and the unbreakable bonds of family. The evening had transformed from a moment of heartbreak into a profound affirmation of the strength and importance of genuine, unconditional love. By the end of the night, Ethan felt a renewed sense of hope and clarity. He knew that someone who valued integrity and love over material possessions would come along. Until then, he would hold his head high, confident in the choices he had made and grateful for his father's unwavering support. With each step away from La Belle Époque, Ethan's spirit lifted, knowing he was surrounded by the true wealth of love, respect, and the unbreakable bonds of family. Ethan's face fell, his heart heavy with disappointment. "Is that all I was to you? Just a potential bank account?" Rachel's eyes flashed with irritation as she snapped back. "Obviously. Why would I settle for anything less? Now get out of my way." Desperation tinged Ethan's voice as he tried to reach her one last time. "Rachel, please, we can work through this. My love for you is real." Rachel's sneer was cold and dismissive. "Work through what? Your poverty? No thanks. Here, why don't you prove your worth with that?" She viciously kicked over a nearby trash can, sending its contents spilling across the sidewalk. "Pick that up," she ordered. "Maybe then I'll reconsider." Ethan's eyes were filled with a mix of humiliation and sorrow as he stared at the trash strewn across the sidewalk. "Is this really what it comes down to for you? Degrading me because you think you're better?" Rachel folded her arms, a look of smug satisfaction on her face. "Just do it, Ethan. Show me what you're willing to do for me." In that moment, Ethan's spirit broke and then solidified. He realized that no amount of degradation would ever make Rachel value him for who he truly was. Slowly, he turned his back on her, the scattered garbage a poignant symbol of the end of their relationship. As he walked away, the weight of the evening's emotional turmoil began to lift, replaced by a sense of clarity and self-respect. Re-entering La Belle Époque, Ethan was greeted with warm, understanding smiles from the staff and his father. George embraced his son tightly, his voice filled with pride and empathy. "You did the right thing, Ethan. Someone who values money over love isn't worth your time." Ethan nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose and self-worth. The painful revelation of the evening had affirmed the values he and his family cherished. He knew that the right person would appreciate those values and love him for who he truly was. They sat back down at their table, the ambience of the restaurant now feeling like a sanctuary from the night's chaos. The sparkling chandeliers, elegant centerpieces, and the aroma of gourmet cuisine created a comforting backdrop as father and son shared stories, laughter, and dreams for the future. Each bite of the exquisite meal symbolized a step towards healing and self-discovery. As the evening drew to a close, Ethan felt a profound sense of hope and clarity. He realized that someone who valued integrity and love over material wealth would eventually come into his life. Until then, he would hold his head high, confident in the choices he had made and grateful for the unwavering support of his father. Walking away from La Belle Époque, Ethan's spirit lifted, knowing he was surrounded by the true wealth of love, respect, and the unbreakable bonds of family. Ethan took a deep breath, the weight of the situation pressing heavily on his heart. "No, Rachel, I won't stoop to that level. If your love is conditional on my wealth or my willingness to degrade myself, then it's not love at all." Rachel's eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed in anger. "Fine. I don't need you anyway. There are plenty of rich men who would be happy to have me." Ethan nodded, his voice calm but resolute. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Rachel. But remember, true happiness isn't found in material wealth or belittling others. It's found in genuine love, respect, and kindness." Rachel rolled her eyes and stormed off, dragging Hannah with her. Hannah glanced back at Ethan, her expression conflicted, before following Rachel. Ethan watched them disappear into the night, a profound sense of loss mingling with a newfound clarity. He turned back towards the restaurant, where his father stood waiting with a comforting presence. "Are you all right, son?" George asked, his voice gentle and understanding. Ethan nodded slowly. "Yeah, Dad, I think I will be. I just need some time to process everything." George put an arm around Ethan's shoulder as they walked back inside. "You've shown incredible strength tonight, Ethan. It's not easy to stand up for your values, especially when it means losing someone you thought you loved." Ethan sighed, feeling the weight of his father's words. "I know, Dad, but I also realized that I deserve someone who loves me for who I am, not for what I can give them." George smiled proudly. "Exactly, son. And that person is out there. Someone who will appreciate the man you are and the values you hold dear." As they re-entered La Belle Époque, the warmth and elegance of the restaurant felt like a stark contrast to the harsh encounter outside. Yet, Ethan felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. He knew that the right person would come along, someone who valued integrity and love over material wealth. And until then, he would hold his head high, knowing he had stayed true to himself. Ethan stared at the scattered garbage, feeling a deep sense of disappointment and hurt. For a moment he hesitated, his mind racing with the weight of the situation. Then he looked up at Rachel, his resolve hardening into unshakable determination. "No, Rachel, I'm not going to degrade myself for you or anyone else. If you can't see beyond money, then maybe we're better off apart." Rachel rolled her eyes, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Whatever. Have fun being poor," she turned to Hannah, dismissively waving her hand. "Let's go." As the two women walked away, their footsteps echoing in the night, Ethan watched them go, feeling a strange mix of relief and sorrow. The emotional turmoil churned within him, but he knew deep down that he had made the right decision. He turned back to the restaurant, seeking solace in the familiar warmth of his father's presence. Back inside, George welcomed his son with a warm, reassuring hug. "You did the right thing, Ethan. Someone who values money over love isn't worth your time." Ethan sighed deeply, leaning into his father's comforting embrace. "I know, Dad. It's just hard to accept that she was never really interested in me, only in what she thought I could provide." George nodded, his eyes filled with empathy and understanding. "It's a tough lesson to learn, but it's one that will make you stronger. True love is about who you are, not what you have." They sat down at their table, the ambiance of the restaurant now feeling like a sanctuary from the evening's chaos. The elegant decor, the soft glow of the chandeliers, and the inviting aroma of the gourmet cuisine enveloped them, creating a space where they could reflect and heal. As they settled into their seats, the evening began to take on a new, more profound meaning. The earlier tension and disappointment gradually faded, replaced by a deep sense of gratitude for the values they held dear. They immersed themselves in conversation, reminiscing about cherished memories, sharing dreams for the future, and reaffirming the strength of their bond. Every bite of the exquisite food seemed to symbolize a step towards healing and self-discovery. They laughed, they talked, and they found solace in each other's company. The night had not gone as planned, but it had revealed a deeper truth that love, respect, and family were far more valuable than any material wealth. When they finally left the restaurant, Ethan felt a renewed sense of hope and clarity. He knew that the right person would eventually come along, someone who valued integrity and love over material possessions. Until then, he would hold his head high, confident in the choices he had made and grateful for the unwavering support of his father. With every step they took away from La Belle Époque, Ethan felt his spirit lift, knowing that he was surrounded by true wealth, the kind that comes from love, respect, and the unbreakable bonds of family. Ethan felt a soothing sense of peace wash over him, calming the turmoil within. "Thanks, Dad. I suppose I just needed to be reminded of that." George's smile was warm and reassuring. "Anytime, son. Now let's make the most of our evening. We don't need Rachel to make it special." As they settled back into their seats, the elegant ambience of La Belle Époque took on a deeper, more poignant meaning. The sparkling chandeliers cast a gentle glow, the meticulously arranged centerpieces added a touch of elegance, and the enticing aroma of gourmet cuisine wafted through the air, all symbolizing a richer, more genuine kind of wealth, the kind that comes from strong family bonds and unwavering self-respect. Throughout the evening, Ethan and George immersed themselves in heartfelt conversation, reminiscing about cherished memories and sharing laughter that echoed warmly through the room. Each bite of the exquisite food felt like a step towards healing, a reminder of the values they held dear. The earlier tension and disappointment began to melt away, replaced by a profound appreciation for the love and integrity that defined their relationship. As the night drew to a close and they prepared to leave the restaurant, Ethan felt a renewed sense of hope and clarity. He realized that the right person would eventually come into his life, someone who valued integrity and love far more than material wealth. Until that time, he would hold his head high, confident in the choices he had made and grateful for the unwavering support of his father. With every step they took away from La Belle Époque, Ethan felt his spirit lift, knowing that he was surrounded by true wealth, the kind that came from the love, respect, and unbreakable bonds of family. Ethan nodded slowly, a small but genuine smile beginning to form on his lips. "Thanks, Dad. I guess I just needed to see her true colors to understand the situation better." George placed a reassuring hand on Ethan's shoulder, giving it a gentle squeeze. "Let's focus on enjoying our dinner tonight. We still have each other, and that's what truly matters in the end." As they took their seats at the table, Ethan felt a newfound sense of clarity and peace wash over him. The evening had certainly not gone as he had envisioned, but in that moment, he realized that love, respect, and the bonds of family were treasures far more valuable than any amount of money or superficial success. The comforting presence of his father, combined with the warm and inviting atmosphere of the restaurant, provided a stark and welcome contrast to the turmoil that had earlier threatened to overwhelm him. The meal progressed, filled with bursts of laughter and heartfelt conversations. Each delicious bite of food seemed to symbolize a step forward on his path to healing and self-discovery. They shared stories of cherished memories from the past, discussed their dreams and aspirations for the future, and took time to celebrate the strength and resilience of their familial bond. The disappointment that had weighed heavily on Ethan's heart earlier began to melt away, replaced by a profound sense of gratitude and appreciation for the people in his life who genuinely cared for him. As the evening wore on, George lifted his glass high into the air, his face radiating with pride and love. "To truth, honor, and the unshakable ties of family," he declared, his voice filled with emotion. Ethan smiled warmly as he gently tapped his glass against his father's, his heart swelling with immense gratitude and love. "To us," he echoed, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, he had the unwavering support and love of his family to guide him. As they stepped out of La Belle Époque, the crisp night air enveloped them, brimming with hope and endless possibilities. Ethan felt the cool breeze invigorate his spirit, a gentle reminder that the road ahead, though potentially fraught with obstacles, was one he would never travel alone. The unwavering support and boundless love of his father fortified him, giving him the strength to confront whatever challenges lay in wait. He departed from the evening with a renewed sense of purpose, emboldened by the knowledge that he was upholding his cherished values and surrounded by those who adored him for his authentic self. Each step he took was filled with confidence and a deep appreciation for the powerful connection that bound him to his family. We've just shared the incredible story of a millionaire who pretended to be a janitor to test his son's girlfriend, and what happened next was truly eye-opening. Now, we want to hear from you. What have you learned from this story? Share one lesson you've taken away and plan to bring into your own life in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us bring more engaging and inspiring content to you. Thank you for watching.